Hey, Toya. Hey, Mom. So, we are starting with our conversation on bullying prevention in just a few. We did say that October is a month full of a lot of awarenesses. So, we're going to take our time to go through different ones, but today focusing on bullying prevention, kind of looking at it through the lens of helping your children advocate for themselves. So, and y'all know I'm usually streaming on a couple different devices. So forgive me for the head turning the whole time. But we're going to get started in just a moment. We'll see if we have anyone else join us for a bit. But I'm definitely appreciative of you ladies showing up. Thank you so much. So, and also a little bit of a plot twist. I'm not going to say a plot twist, but a little bonus piece of what we're talking about for some of the advocating and the SEL lens. I'm also going to talk about what Playboy has to do with SEL. So I know, sit tight. I know some of y'all are probably clutching your pearls like, man, what? What did you say? But yes, seriously, we're going to see how and why those connect, why that is a thing, a thought. And again, I do sincerely hope that you all are having a terrific Tuesday. So, this is the kickoff for our October series, Being Intentional, as we again work to build that awareness while we shine a light on the various causes that are identified during this month. Because there's a lot between months and specific days. It's quite a lot. It really is. So, it is. I hope it is interesting, but the story will make sense. The story will make sense. I know. But seriously, um, bullying prevention. So, students advocating for themselves, not when I say advocating for themselves, I mean what they want and what they need, right? They usually don't have a problem at home, especially telling us what they want, but talking about outside of home, what they want and what they need, especially. So please share this post, tag some people to join, comment as things resonate with you. I appreciate that feedback. So just a few more moments. And yes, again, we are going to look at what Playboy might have to do with SEL as the final piece of the conversation today. Before I forget, so my replay members of the Holistic Collective, please be sure to put hashtag replay in the chat and the comments to let us know that you tuned in because we appreciate the support. Remember that we're all about growing and stretching our relational capacities. So I know y'all still like, but Anika, what is that going to have to do with Playboy and SEL? Hold that thought. Just hold that thought, I promise. But first piece of business, first order is bullying prevention. So let me be clear. We're not trying to say that all bullying can and will cease as young people learn to advocate for themselves. But it is an essential piece of development and it will assist in cutting down on a lot of the shenanigans when this advocacy is implemented, really and truly. So, um, when we say students advocating for themselves is not such a grandiose, not such a big deal as we tend to make it out to be, right? Like it has to be a formal system, a formal steps to follow. Often it'll come up in your conversations that you're probably already having with your young people, but just seeing it as that, seeing it as an advocacy opportunity. So we're going to talk about a few of those in just a moment. So when I was thinking and preparing for today's live, I actually reflected on some regular conversations I have been having really in this last week or so. It was regarding a lot of young people at different stages, so elementary, middle, high, and their parents just kind of figuring out, kind of determining how much support and what to give as support. And that's probably a constant theme, right, as parents, but also as educators, as we're also building and helping to develop those SEL skills as well. So, one thought first is that you need to make sure you check your rearview mirror for a moment. When we say check the review mirror, that means before we can help them apply and transition to their next level of advocating for themselves, we have to do something. What? I know y'all were like, Anika, I thought this was for the kids. Well, yes, it is for the kids, but we still need to be aware that of how we should move and things that we should do or not do and say or not say at those times as well. So we need to first check our mirror, our review mirror, to assess what was the most recent level and manner of advocacy that we provided to them. Right? We have to stop and think, okay, so what was I doing? What was the last thing that they got used to? What are they used to me doing to help them in terms of advocating for them? So then we can know how to guide them in their age appropriate shift for some of the responsibility. Anika, what are you talking about? So glad that y'all asked this evening. So just a couple of thoughts, and here's your lens. Here's the lens I'm giving you. So let's say elementary. So elementary, we take them by the hand, we walk them all the way to the classroom doors, we help them find their name on the desk, we're chaperoning field trips, and so on and so on. An advocacy opportunity. So I have a very specific story where I had to check myself. Okay, within the first week of school, casual conversation, asking my son, what are some of his classmates' names? He didn't know any. And I thought that was weird because he's a very social kid. So I'm like, why don't you know anybody's name yet? He was like, well, because I haven't played with anybody. And I was like, what? Right before going all full on helicopter mom and swooping in, I'm glad that I stopped to ask some more questions. So long story short, he is new to that school, but he didn't ask them to play either. So it was equally right, that thing at that age. You want to play. Did you tell him you want to play? No. What is it that you want to play? Basketball. Okay, so let's practice. Tell me what you'll say when you see your classmates at recess on the playground tomorrow. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? So helping him to practice. So helping, again, practice that advocacy. So middle school. Now, we don't take them by the hand anymore. We're not even walking them up usually in middle school. The volunteerism, right, popping up at the school dwindles a bit, but we might still be packing lunches, loading funds on their student accounts, and maybe emailing teachers regarding grades and assignments. Fair enough. But here's an advocacy opportunity. So include them in the planning process for making lunch. I know some of y'all thought I was going to say making groceries because I'm from New Orleans, but even before that, before we get to the grocery store, what are some of the steps, some of the planning that has to happen? Now, even as you're inviting them to dialogue on what might go in their lunch or should go in their lunch, versus what they want, you're having that conversation, and now everything might not be feasible. Right? Everything might not be feasible. They might not be able to get everything they want. Usually not. But that's still a part of the conversation. It's still helping them practice those advocacy skills, even with you, right? As the main adult in their life. So also demonstrate, make sure they know how to check their grades for themselves, right? On their end, and have them practice. You can show them how to have those conversations with their teachers about them. Again, role playing. Recently on one of the lives, we talked about how we all learn through play, whether it's literal play, touching, right, things when we first are starting to learn and interact with people and things. But as adults, we even play because it's role play that we do. So have your kids role play. So, okay, you need to have this conversation. You turned in the assignment, the grades not updated. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? Of course, give them some tips, right? And then with the emails, show them some of the emails that you've sent to teachers and maybe even some others, just some other emails. So they're starting to build their repertoire, right, with their email etiquette, so they understand what's okay, the how, the what not to do's, all those things. So high school, we get way more relaxed in many regards, way more relaxed, but still some really excellent advocacy opportunities. From here, we can give them the information 100% for the online shopping carts, right? For HEB, Walmart, wherever you shop, and have them add their necessities directly to the cart. So we went from the planning, so this is what we need, and this is beyond lunch now, right? This is like the grocery list on the fridge 2.0. They can definitely handle that, right? But again, still having those conversations, advocating for what they need and want. And that's a healthy dialogue to have. Like, you're going to be their first practice for advocating for themselves. And maybe thinking about things outside of, again, food or I want to go out. But as much as possible, having that healthy practice. So then they're checking their grades and email regarding their grades, and they can even CC you because we've been practicing, right, what those emails look like. And at this point, they're taking it over. But let me be clear, I'm not saying don't look and see what's going on. That's not what I'm saying, because we must inspect what we expect. So we still need to take a look and see what's going on, but it definitely should be an accountability task on them or transitioning to that. All right, so Playboy and SEL, right? So we always talk about making sure to see, study, and support as members of the village. Now, whether or not we choose to do these things, to see, study, and support, that's not going to excuse us from receiving feedback. So, story time from high school. I saved it for high school for a reason, clearly, but especially because high school students love to test. They love to test to see if we are seeing, studying, and supporting. So recently, a teacher that I support, she sent me a photo of a hoodie, and it was literally a fully nude woman on it. It was a throwback centerfold photo. So stop, full pause, right? So you've been wearing this hoodie all day? Yes. Because it wasn't the beginning of the day, it was more towards the middle/end of the day. He'd had this hoodie on all day. The lady on it is fully exposed, everything, whatever you're thinking in your mind, yes, all of those things. Okay, everything was out. So, right, wow is right. So she's like, okay, so help me understand. Like you seriously, you've been wearing it all day? Yeah, miss, I've been wearing it all day. She's like, I don't, what? The student said, well, I'm kind of quiet, so no one really talks to me. Only you see me, miss. So that touches me for a few different reasons, but one being because I was a blender, right? The kid, I wasn't necessarily quiet. Y'all know I like to talk, but definitely not loud. I did my work, made pretty good grades. And if you let me, and even sometimes to this day, I'll just kind of sit back, I'll chill out. So imagine that student, his feedback though for her was, you're the only one that sees me. But imagine how many other students are maybe going in that building and they're not being seen, right? Or can you imagine as a high school, you might have 7, 8 different classes. That's 7, 8 different teachers. One teacher saw you and gave you any kind of feedback. That's big. So again, that is the SEL piece, because awareness. That's usually where many start doing the work of SEL, starting with some form of awareness, whether it's self, others, interactions. So that is a part of why we're so passionate about that see, study, and support, because it shows up a lot of different ways. So that's the connection there. And I was applauding her. I was just so thankful that she is doing the work. And so she was able to truly see him and they could have a certain kind of conversation, clearly, right? But before we let ourselves go, often before we realize it, going back to our advocacy opportunities, we might have gone into full-blown helicopter parent mode. We're swooping in at every opportunity. Or before we know it, we might have done our best Michael Jackson impression and we're just moonwalking on out, right? Without creating that space and time for our young people to practice, but expecting them to perform certain things. So again, don't forget to take a look back to not only see what they need, but what they've been used to you doing, so you know how to adjust. Don't just drop everything, but making sure that you kind of scaffold it and taper it back, right? So we have to see where they are and what we were doing, then study and examine what they need. and what's most appropriate at that time that'll help them transition more smoothly. The goal is always through awareness, personalized experiences, and collaboration that SEL proficiency is truly increased. Honestly, as adults, when we're building that certain perspective and capacity within ourselves, as we do the same in our kids. So, as we're teaching them these things, it's definitely heightening our awarenesses and capacities as well. Yeah, so thank you so much. That is all for this evening. I sincerely appreciate you spending a little time with me on this Tuesday afternoon slash evening, depending on your time zone. Be sure to double tap to see more posts like this and save this so that you can refer back. Don't forget to follow us on all of the platforms, right? LinkedIn, Facebook, IG, TikTok, YouTube. We're there. So don't forget so you can get some valuable resources and tips along the way. Thank you for joining and see you soon.